Good morning. You know, I don't actually wear glasses. In fact, these aren't even mine. They're my grandmother's because they have little flowers on the side. But I didn't feel like you would take me nearly as seriously if I did not have glasses. I will indulge. I will indulge the fantasy, but a little longer. But I want to talk to you this morning. This morn. I want to talk to you this morn about people pleasing. And you hear the term people pleasing, like oh, they're a people pleaser. They're a people pleaser, and they always people pleasing. And I want to look at that from a couple different angles for just a minute. There's some people who do things. Maybe they go to college. Maybe they do this. Maybe they do that because their parents want them to do it, or maybe that every time somebody invites them over to something, they feel obligated to say yes, or maybe committing to all these things that they don't want to be, to people please, the people pleasers. And then you have those people who they do their own thing. They don't want to go somewhere, they say no. They're not afraid to tell you what they think. They're not afraid to speak their mind. They're not afraid of confrontation. And so you have these kind of two different kinds of people. But I want to read you something this morning. He says in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, he says in verse 29, he says, "For why is my liberty judged by another man's conscience? If I partake with thankfulness, why am I slandered concerning that for which I give thanks?" Talking about food, talking about things of that nature. He says, "Therefore, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all to the glory of God." Watch this part. "Give no offense, neither to the Jews, nor to the Gentiles, nor to the church of God, just as I try to please all men in all things." What? Paul tries to please all men in all things? Kind of sounds like he's a people pleaser. But hold on a second. "I try to please all men in all things, not seeking my own profit, but the profit of many, that they may be saved." There are two kinds of people pleasers. There are those who are people pleasers for their own sake, and then there are people like the Apostle Paul who try to please all men, but not for his sake, for their sake. He does it for their benefit. Paul said, "I am all things to all men." Now, there are a lot of people who please others for their own sake because they don't want to offend them, they don't want to lose their friendship, they don't want them to think badly about them, they don't want to have something reflect poorly upon them. Maybe they don't want to lose a connection, or they don't want to lose some benefits that they're getting from that friendship or relationship or something of that nature. And that is a wrong motive to people please. Some people please out of fear. And fear is always selfish. Fear is always, how is this going to affect me negatively? But what Paul is talking about is endeavoring to, as he says later, have his words seasoned with salt. Now, there are some people, some Christians who say, well, you just got to be bold and you just got to speak the truth, and that's true. But Paul also said to speak the truth in love. And we should always be asking the Lord to give us wisdom to win souls, because Proverbs says, "He who wins souls is wise." And not to tickle ears, not to try and sugarcoat or water down the gospel, but to not give offense unnecessarily so that they may be saved. That's what Paul is saying. People say, well, Jesus just called it like it is. Well, there was a time when Jesus actually said that they should pay their taxes and that they should go through the ritual of cleansing and washing when he healed a leper. He said, so that we don't give offense to them. Now, Jesus was not afraid to speak the truth, and he was bold. That's true, but he also didn't offend people unnecessarily or insult them unnecessarily. He only said what he heard his Father say. And so I just want to say this. There's two different kinds of people pleasing. There is a way to say things that you don't have to unnecessarily insult people. You don't have to call them names. You don't have to make them feel stupid. or try to make yourself seem more whatever. There is a way to have your words seasoned with salt, and in all things, thinking more of the other person than yourself, that they may be saved. So, it's okay to be a people pleaser if you're doing it for their benefit, not your own. If you're doing it for their sake, particularly unbelievers, and not your own. But be people pleasing out of fear and selfishness and insecurity or manipulation, control, soul tie, those kind of things, that's not good. But having that awareness to say, hey, I don't want to give any offense with my lips unnecessarily. Now, sometimes people are just offended by the truth. People were offended by Jesus. People got offended by Stephen. As long as it lies with you, endeavor as a believer to speak peace and to speak love and to speak the truth, seasoned with salt. Make your words like an Auntie Anne's little salted pretzel, if you can. So, anyway, you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I will return these to my grandmother.